Today in this lecture we will discuss about the sporogenous cells. In the previous lecture we discussed about the microsporogenesis, that is the development of microspore. A mature anther has normally 2 anther lobes and 4 sporangial cavities. This situation was called as dithecous and tetrasporangiate situation. Dithecous means 2 lobes, tetrasporangiate means 4 cavities. If the anther lobes are reduced to 1, the sporangial cavities are less, then they are named accordingly. For example, if they are 2 in number, then bisporangiate, for example in Malvaceae, and if they are more than 4, then they are named accordingly, like in Vallisneria they are more than 4 in number. Now the tissue inside it is known as primary sporogenous cells. This tissue may differentiate into microspore mother cell, or it may develop into secondary sporogenous cell, which then differentiates into microspore mother cell. The microspore mother cell, they divides by meiosis and makes haploid microspores or pollen grains. They are formed after this process, in which from a single cell 4 cells are produced. Now there may be 2 methods of division. First is known as simultaneous method of cell division, and other is known as successive method of cell division. In simultaneous division, what happens first? The enlargement of nucleus and thickening of the cell wall takes place, after which the cell becomes ready for further division. It divides by meiosis first, which is known as reductional division, and there is no wall formation. After second division of meiosis, that is meiosis 2 or equational division, 4 nuclei are formed and cell wall are formed simultaneously. This results into a structure known as tetrahedral. The wall formation is by cell-furrow method, and this method is very common in dicots, in which 4 spores are arranged in tetrahedral tetrad like this, covered by callose wall. And this situation is also found in some monocot families like Juncaceae. In successive method of division, after first meiotic division, there is wall formation by cell plate method from inner to outer side, and after meiosis 2, a tetrad is formed like this. Now this is known as isobilateral situation, and it is a very common condition in monocots and some dicots like members of Apocynaceae and Asclepic PTC. The 4 spores are arranged in this isobilateral manner. But in plants of arrangements, many other arrangements are also formed, like decussate, in which 2 spores face each other like this, and the arrangement of these is at right angle to next or adjacent pair. It may be T-shaped like, or it may be linear, in which all the microspores are arranged in a linear manner. Sometimes in a particular plant, more than one type of arrangement can also be found. Due to some abnormality in meiosis, sometimes more than 4 spores are also formed, like this. So there are a lot of variations which we can found in microsporogenesis. Now this was all about microsporogenesis, in which 4 microspores are normally formed from spore mother cell. They all are attached together by callose, which is dissolved by the activity of callase enzyme, which was released by the tapetum cells. The 4 microspores, they get dissolved, they get separated with each other, and now this one microspore is the first cell of this microgametogenesis process. Now we will see how this spore develops and differentiates into a male gametophytic cell, that is pollen grain. This cell, first of all, it enlarges. The nucleus also enlarges, thereby making some vacuoles in this. The nucleus now divides by mitotic divisions and makes 2 nuclei. One nuclei, it moves towards the wall and gets separated from the other cell by the development of a plasma membrane. The bigger cell is known as vegetative cell and the smaller one is known as now this plasma membrane, it gradually gets deposited with a chemical known as callose, and a callose wall is thus synthesized around this generative cell or germ cell. Now this is slightly pinched off from the periphery and is brought towards the center near this vegetative cell, like this. Slowly this callose wall, it also dissolves and both these nuclei come near to each other. Now while this process was taking place, side by side pollen wall formation was also taking place, and in which the tapetum played a very important role in making pollen kit material and various other things present in the wall. Now this pollen grain is a 2-nucleate structure, and in some plants these stage is first converted into 3-nucleate stage, like this. The vegetative cell remains as such, whereas the generative nucleus, it divides by mitosis and makes 2 new generative nuclei. Thus, it has been observed that in about 70% of the plants, the pollen grains are released at 3-nucleate stage, while in others the pollen grains are released at this 2-nucleate stage, like in Asteraceae, Poaceae, Brassicaceae. This type of pollen grain having 3 nuclei is metabolically more active than the 2-nucleate pollen grains. Now, after microsporogenesis and microgametogenesis, the male gametophyte or pollen grain is with us, and this pollen grain has got 3 things: pollen wall, pollen cytoplasm, and pollen nuclei. Now these nuclei are named by a special term called as male germ unit. Now, the cytoplasm initially was very dense, but slowly and slowly it becomes speculated. Now, these three nuclei are vegetative nuclei, sperm cell 1 and sperm cell 2. Sperm cell 2 is far from the vegetative cell. The vegetative cell is also known as tube cell, and its function is to make pollen tube as the pollen grain reaches stigma. The sperm cell 1, it fuses with the egg to make baby, that is embryo. Whereas the sperm cell 2, it fuses with the polar nuclei to make endosperm, which is 3 end tissue and polar nuclei 2 end. This endosperm, it provides nutrition to the developing embryo, and these three are connected with each other, are jointed by fiber-like structures, thus making one unit male germ unit. Now, after studying the pollen nuclei, now let's study about the pollen wall. The wall is made up of two layers. Outer is known as exine and inner is known as intine. The outer exine is thick and it has got definite patterns on it which are used in taxonomic studies. The intine is thin walled. Now this pollen wall is not continuous. It is broken at certain places, which is known as germ pores. Now these germ pores are the places from which the pollen tubes it comes out. Sometimes it may be elongated like this, and then we call it as germ furrow. The germ pores are 3 in number in dicots, and in monocots it is usually 1 in number. When the macrospores were in the development process, there was no pollen wall. They were surrounded by the callose, which was dissolved by the enzyme callase from the tapetum cells. After that, the pollens, they start making their walls, the material of which again comes from the tapetum. Like the pollen is made up of this is known as pollen tip material, like I have shown here. It is made up of sporopollenin, which was secreted by the Ubish bodies from the tapetum. Now, enlarging this wall, we find inner intine and outer exine. Exine is further made up of 2 layers, end exine and act exine. This entire structure is act exine. The act exine is made up of column-like structures known as baculum, which extends down in the base making foot layer, and on the upper side it makes tapetum. The upper surface of tapetum is covered by pollen kid material. The intine is cellulosic in nature, while the tapetum is made up of sporopollen. As I told you earlier, that sporopollen is a result of Ubish bodies from tapetum. Friends, pollen kit is the surface cement of pollens, and it is deposited on the pollen wall. It is chemically made up of fats, glycoproteins, glycolipids, carotenoids, flavonoids. It is a very resistant layer. It gives longer life to pollen grains. The pollen kit is sticky in nature. It has got a specific odor and color which makes pollen grains colorful, attractive and sticky for their attachment to the insects. So we can assign certain functions to pollen grain, like due to its sticky nature, it helps in insect pollination. Due to its resistant nature, it provides longer life of pollen and protects them from the harmful ultraviolet rays. It is hygroscopic in nature and thus helps in dispersal of pollen grains. The self-incompatibility of the pollens is due to this pollen kit material only. It has got a number of other functions also, which we will discuss in some other lecture. So, in this lecture, we have completed microchematogenesis. That is the entire developmental process from a microspore to pollen grain. In these two lectures, I have tried to cover entire development of pollen grain, which is male gametophyte, from the very initial stage of anther to the final release of pollen grains. In the next lectures, we will be discussing about the development of female megaspores and female gametophyte. Thank you.